What's up guys? Welcome back to the channel Hand Waving. Your friend Naruto Addict 2.0 is here again with a brand new Naruto fanfic that's going to change everything. A story where Naruto is betrayed and banished. But destiny has bigger plans for him. From exile to emperor, this is the journey of power, strategy, and love. Today's fanfic is titled, What If Naruto Shared a Secret Bond with Tsume and Anko? Hidden Romance Part 1. Most children love their birthdays. They can't wait for their parents, relatives, and friends to give them presents. It also means for some kids that they're one step closer to becoming a ninja. To do that is the highest honor to them. To be the greatest. Their birthdays are one of the greatest days of their life. Except for one Uzumaki Naruto. He absolutely despises his birthday. He just wishes he was born on a completely different date. He wishes his parents were still with him. He wishes that he had friends. He wishes he could have someone that says who loves him and that he could love back. But none of that can be his. As long as he's the demon brat, there's no way that they will think of him as anything else. But let's get back to the birthday thing. The reason he hates his birthday so much is because he can never go outside. Every time he tries to, they always chase him through the village, and if they catch him, well, let's just say it's definitely not pretty and usually involves kunai and shuriken. But alas, it just so happened that today was one of those special days. Right now we find Naruto huddled up in the corner of his room rocking back and forth. Naruto has sun-kissed blonde hair and oceanic blue eyes. He was very skinny and malnourished. He wore a dirty white tee with dark blue jean shorts on. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday dear Naruto. Happy birthday to me. He sang to himself. He stopped crying a long time ago. He grew accustomed to the fact that he's alone and is ready for the possibility of being alone for the rest of his life. Yep. It was just another one of those days. As he finished his celebration by himself, he could not help but feel a bit excited. Like the other kids, he had the desire to become a ninja. It would not only give him a chance to prove himself to the people, but it would also keep the villagers from attacking him. They wouldn't dare attack a ninja. As Naruto stood up, he started to get an eerie feeling. He had a feeling that tonight something is going to happen. Maybe he's just paranoid, but it wouldn't hurt to be careful. It is his birthday, which just makes it even more dangerous. He made his way to the small living room to get something to eat. The moment he walked in, his front door to the apartment was kicked off its hinges. In walked a pink-haired woman followed by two tall men. They were drunk. This is bad. It's always bad when they're drunk. They are a lot more viscous when they drink. Take him outside, the pink-haired woman commanded. He remembered her from the usually times they would capture and beat him. The men roughly grabbed Naruto and dragged him through the front door. Bad day indeed. XXXXXXXXX. The moment he was outside, he knew he was right when he said something was wrong. Most of the villagers and some chunin have gathered in front of his apartment. They all had this nasty look on his face. Great, they're all drunk. I just hope Ojiazan will get here in time. He thought as they brought two posts that were wide apart. At the top of each post were long chains that touched the ground. Okay, that doesn't look good. Come on Ojiazan, hurry. There's no way he wouldn't notice this. And most of the village should be empty considering how many people are here. XXXXXXXXXX. Sarutobi Hiruzen is having a bad day. First he had a monster of a stack of paperwork. Then the council called a random meeting about other random things that he has nothing to do with. All he wanted to do was just stay home and relax and not have to worry about anything. He wanted to take a stroll through the village and just be free at least for one day from the dreaded paperwork. But he didn't want to upset the council and having to deal with them later. So he stayed put. He never knew what was going on outside. XXXXXXXXX. Now we find Naruto chained up by his arms hanging in mid-air. He had a calm demeanor on the outside, but on the inside he was afraid. Afraid that this is going to be the last day of his life. But he wouldn't show them that. He wouldn't give them the satisfaction. The pink-haired woman stepped in front of Naruto and turned to the rest of the villagers. For years this thing has plagued our village, she started. But now we have a chance to get rid of it. No interruptions. My allies on the council made sure of this. Now we have free reign to do whatever we want with the demon child. We will have liberation. She finished the last part with raising a kunai in the air. The crowd cheered with approval and anger as they armed themselves to the teeth. This is going to hurt, Naruto thought as he closed his eyes and accepted his fate. And so began Naruto's torture. After 5 years of suffering, 5 years of endless nightmares, it was all about to come to an end. You get a cookie if you know where that was from. Smiley face. They burned him, stabbed him, beat him with weapons beyond your imagination. The worst of it all is that he just kept healing. He kept feeling the pain over and over and over again. It just wouldn't go away. Eventually he lost consciousness from all of the pain he endured. XXXXXXXXX. His eyes opened as he realized he was in a different place. He was standing in a place completely encased in darkness. Where am I? He thought as he looked around. Suddenly he heard a loud booming voice. Give in to the anger. It yelled. Hate them. Curse them. Then he heard another. You are the last of the most powerful ultimate warrior race. You bow to no one. You are all their superiors. Show them what you can do. Then there was another. But this one sounded a lot more calm. You have my blood in you. You are my grandson. He looked all around but could not find where the voices were coming from. He looked in front of him and could faintly see 3 figures walking toward him. Once they got close enough he could make out what they looked like. The one on the right was a somewhat short but bulky man, probably standing at about 5 feet 5. He had black spiky hair that stood up high above his head. His outfit consisted of an unfamiliar sleeveless dark blue body leotard-looking thing that covered his legs and most of his torso. He had on white gloves and white boots with a yellow tip on them. The one on the left was a man that stood at about 5 feet 8. Naruto guessed he was bulky too, but he couldn't tell with the large, red battle armor, like how Ojiazan told him the ninja's back before he was born used to wear, he was wearing. This man also had spiky hair with bangs that hung down his mid-chest. He had a large unfamiliar weapon on his back. It looked like a fan but was silver and had 4 sets of 3 tomos on each corner. It also looked like he had a Konoha headband on, so he had to be someone from the village. But what really caught his attention were his eyes. They were blood red with 3 black tomos in them, similar to the ones on his fan. Overall he looked very intimidating. The last man in the middle had to be the scariest of them all. He looked to be well over 6 feet and had a very muscular build. Like the others he had spiky hair as well, but his kind of jutted out behind his head with the bangs of his hair somewhat covering his face. On the sides of his head were large horns that pointed in front of him. Somewhat like bull horns but straighter. On his forehead was a tattoo that resonated around a small red crystal that was in the center. His eyes were mostly white with a black dot in the middle. On his chest he adorned a large tattoo covering most of it. Another tattoo also on his left bicep and a chain wrapped around his right. On his arms were red and black gauntlets that covered most of his forearms. On the edge of the gauntlet close to his bicep was a large spike that jutted up. The gauntlets themselves were wrapped up in chains. He wore pants that were wrapped up in chains on his waist and his left shin. On the right leg of the pants it had red flames with a golden outline on the top, stopping at his mid-thigh. He wore different colored combat boots, his right leg being red and his left leg black. But the most noticeable feature would be the large black wings on his back. Naruto could tell that he actually used them in combat, which can be very useful. Overall the 3 of them looked very menacing and cool. When he finished observing them he noticed that they were standing right in front of him. He took a few steps back in fear of them killing him. The one on the right spoke first. Do not fear, little one, we will not harm you. The other 2 nodded in agreement. I think introductions are in order. My name is Vegeta. He introduced with a bow. The one on the right spoke next. My name is Madara Uchiha. He spoke with a tone of amusement. The one in the middle spoke last. My name is Devil Jin. He bowed. This month's voice echoed as if more people were speaking at once. Naruto stared at them, still a little fearful, but spoke nonetheless. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. He introduced, stuttering a bit. You must have many questions, Madara spoke, ask and we will answer. The others nodded. Naruto regained his composure and took a deep breath, feeling a bit more confident. Where am I? How did you guys get here? What happened to the village? And why are you guys here? He asked rapidly. They looked at each other and nodded as if they knew exactly what to say. Devil Jin spoke first. To answer your first question, we are in your mindscape, so to speak. Most people can't enter their mindscape due to what has to happen enter it. You have to be in the most unimaginable pain and have to be enduring it for hours. Even then there is a very low chance that you'll enter it. Nobody wants to take that chance. Naruto nodded in understanding, considering that he was being tortured by the villagers. Well, I guess that answers my third question as well. What about my second? This time Vegeta answered, the three of us have been dead for a long time. Well, maybe Madara not so much, but me and Jin lived way before the Raikudo Sennin was even born. I am a bit older than Jin, but all of us in here are related. When I died, my blood lived on through a lot of people until most of those people died. Then Jin was the only one left with my blood. He then passed it on to a few people and it eventually made its way to the Raikudo Sennin. Now if you know the story of the Sennin, then you know that he split up the Jubi into 9-tailed beasts and also sealing the last of the Jubi's power in himself. That power awakened mine and Jin's blood in him, therefore restarting our bloodline. He then had 3 sons and one of them is Madara's father. A couple decades later, after Konoha was formed, Madara died at the hands of the first Hokage. But he kept himself attached to this artifact called the demonic statue of the outer path, which kept him alive. Kind of like a overpowered life support. Before he cut himself off from the statue, he had a child. Before I say any more, I think Madara should tell you this. Vegeta finished nodding off to Madara. Thank you. Now, as Vegeta was saying, I had a child with a woman named Mito Uzumaki. Mito was the first Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Yoko, and when we had the child, it awakened the bloodline again. We named that child Kushina. Before I died, I told Mito to tell everyone that she had a child with Hashirama Senju, the Shadaime Hokage. Before Mito died, she sealed the 9 tails into Kushina. She wanted to make sure that thing never got out. When Kushina grew up into an adult, she had a child with none other than Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage. But something bad happened that day. Kushina grew sickly and the seal weakened. This gave the Kyuubi the chance to escape, and so it overloaded the seal with chakra and busted out. In bloodthirsty rage, it started to attack Konoha, destroying all in its path. There is absolutely no way to kill a beast with infinite chakra, so the only way to stop it is to seal it. Minato sealed the Kyuubi into the only thing it could. Their son. He couldn't bear to ask anyone else for a newborn, since that's the only thing the Kyuubi can be sealed in. Kushina died in childbirth and the Kyuubi breaking out of the seal. Minato died sealing it into the child because the seal requires a soul to be sacrificed. Do you know who that child is? Naruto Uzumaki. It didn't take a genius to figure it out. He has been asking the Hokage all his life if he knew who his father was. Now that he found out that the Sandaime knew about it the whole time, he grew angry. Angry that this huge secret had been kept from the most important person to know it. It was me, he replied, anger leaking off of every syllable. That didn't go unnoticed by the other 2 in here. Yes, Madara replied, it was you. Now when the Kyuubi was sealed into you, it triggered a chain reaction. From all the other times of our bloodline awakening, and with mine added into the mix, it somehow brought us all into your mindscape. Here we've been fighting each other over a petty squabble, saying which of us was the strongest. Turns out we're all somewhat of the same strength in our own way. Now when we finished with that, we were watching your life play out. And we didn't like it one bit. Those villagers are blind, ignorant fools and deserve to die. So we made a deal: we would teach you everything we know, and in return you must promise us one thing. Naruto looked at him, still angry from before. What's that? This time Jin spoke up. You must destroy Konoha, he answered with a sinister smile. Naruto looked on in shock. Could he really do it? Could he really destroy a place that he loved? Who was he kidding? He hates this place. His whole dream to become Hokage he realized would be impossible. There was no way anybody in the village would like him. And also he heard from Sarutobi how the paperwork sucked. But he had one more question. Since this is my mindscape, where's Kyuubi? Naruto asked. Madara opened his mouth to answer then closed it. The three looked at each other then back at Naruto. Yeah, I actually don't have an answer to that question. We honestly don't know where Kyuubi is. He answered as he was just as curious as Naruto. He looked at the three of them. Alright, I've made up my mind. I'll do it. This surprised the three of them greatly. Wait, just like that? Vegeta asked in disbelief. Naruto looked at him. Why? What did you expect? For me to rant about how I love the village and that when I'm Hokage I'll protect it with my life? They looked at each other. Well, yeah, kinda. Vegeta said. Naruto laughed. Yeah, like I would protect a village that tries to kill me every day. That's a real laugh. Well, kids got a point. They thought. Well, anyhow, Madara started. We are glad that you agree. Before we start, we all have to put our essence in you so you can be able to learn from us. No homo. All three of them held up their hands and pointed them towards Naruto, palms facing him. Now, this is going to hurt a lot, Madara said. In their palms formed spheres of what looked to be swirling chakra, each a different color. Madara's was a dark purple, Jin's was blood red, and Vegeta's was yellow as the sun. For a few seconds they just stood there. Naruto was wondering what was going to happen until he started to feel a little tickle on his chest. He looked down and saw that on the center of his chest came out a blue orb, similar to the ones in the palms of the others. When it came out fully, the three sent their respective orbs toward it. When they reached their target, the orb slowly morphed into the one that came out of Naruto's chest. When they fully went in, the orb began to change colors rapidly. It kept going from red, to purple, to blue, to yellow, and just kept repeating until it looked like a colorful strobe light. Then it turned black. It looked like an eclipsed sun. Without warning, it shot back into Naruto's chest. At first nothing happened. Then all of a sudden Naruto was hit with a huge wave of pain. He felt like he was being torn from the inside out. He was writhing all over the place as he could do nothing to stop it. His body started to grow as much taller. He went from being 4 feet 2 to being 5 feet 0. Considering he's only 6, that's really tall. Any baby fat that was on his body completely disappeared and was replaced with pure muscle. The muscle grew to a point where his body just looked like a smaller version of Jin's. His hair spiked up like Vegeta's and he got bangs in the front like Jin's. He also has bangs that are as long as Madara's. In the center of his forehead was the same red crystal that Jin has. When the transformation stopped, he blacked out from the pain. XXXXXXXXX. Despite the long time he spent in his mindscape, it has only been about 5 minutes in the real world. During this whole time the villagers were still beating and torturing him. When he opened his eyes, he saw all the villagers still ranting about killing the demon and all that other stuff. He looked at his arms to see that they're still chained. Then he noticed how muscular his arm is. He looked at his whole body and noticed the changes. Sweet, he thought. Sweet indeed. He heard someone say. Ojiazan, is that you? He thought. Madara grimaced at the name. Please don't call me that. That just makes me cringe. Just call me Madara. Oh, okay. Naruto replied. Well, get out of here. Break those chains and kill them. He heard Vegeta say. Naruto nodded and looked at the chains. He tugged just a bit and immediately the chains shattered to pieces. He fell to the ground in a crouched position. The crowd fell silent, too shocked to say anything after seeing a 6-year-old break a steel chain like it was nothing. Naruto looked up at them and they gasped. The pink-haired woman backed up in fear. His eyes, she said fearfully. That's impossible. She finished as she fell in her ass. Naruto looked at her and everybody else and noticed something. What's all the blue things in them? Those are the chakra networks in their bodies. You've awakened your Sharingan due to having my blood within your body. Oh, that makes sense. Is there a way to turn it off? Naruto wondered. It's cool and all, but those networks look like they can get annoying. For normal Sharingan users, yes, they would be able to turn it on and off manually, but for you, I'm afraid not. You have so much chakra that it's impossible to turn it off. Madara stated with some pride. Oh well, Naruto thought as his attention was brought back to the villagers. He stood up and looked at his hands. He definitely liked the new look. His shirt ripped off because of his new size, but the pants thankfully still remained, although extremely tight. All of a sudden his body started to get a strange purple aura around him. He looked on with curiosity. A moment later black wings sprouted from his back. They looked exactly like Jin's as he remembers from his mindscape. He gave them an experimental flap. They felt like just another appendage on his body. He touched his forehead as he remembered there was a crystal there. All of a sudden his head started to hurt as if something was trying to force its way out of his head. As if on instinct he just let whatever it was out, and when he didn't even notice that he had his eyes closed. When he opened them the pain was gone and he looked at the villagers. Or at least where the villagers used to be. They were completely vaporized and he had the suspicion that it had something to do with the headache. I was going to kill them anyway. Guess that just saves me the trouble. He thought as he looked at his work. Well, better get going. Maybe I should give Ojiazin a visit. With that he jumped as high as possible and started flying towards the tower. XXXXXXXXX. The Hokage was still sitting in the council room, Kami forbid. He just couldn't take it anymore. Why do they need the Hokage to be present to ask if putting dango on the menu in bars is a good idea? He was starting to get the sneaky suspicion that they're keeping him there on purpose. He looked at the calendar and saw that it was October 10th. For some reason he had a feeling that Naruto was in trouble. He had hired Anbu to guard his apartment, but he still can't help but feel a bit worried. He was going to check on him just to be sure. I am going to take my leave from this meeting. This conversation does not require my presence. He spoke with authority as he stood up. The council panicked. But Hokage-sama, there's also more we need to discuss about the village's safety. A random person on the civilian council spoke with sweat trickling down his cheek. Danzo stood up from his seat, composure intact. It is done, Hokage-sama. He is dead. We can now sleep at night. Danzo stated with a smirk. Sarutobi raised an eyebrow. Exactly who are you talking about? Already having an idea. I'm talking about the demon child. He has been dealt with. The pariah no longer walks the streets of Konoha. He stated, smirk still there despite the key in the room. The moment he said, one of the clan heads jumped out of their seat and prepared to slit Danzo's throat, but was stopped by Anbu. Tsume, stop. Sarutobi yelled. Tsume Inuzuka looked at the Hokage in disbelief. Don't tell me that you're siding with him. You're the one who is always defending Naruto. She yelled, not believing that he would just turn his back on Naruto. Sarutobi raised an eyebrow but shook it off. The only reason I was defending him was because I wanted to make him into a weapon of my own. Now that Danzo has disposed of him, I can't do that. Naruto was growing soft. A little too soft. Now that the Kyuubi is gone, we don't have to worry. He stated with a carefree tone. Tsume looked at him with anger and stormed out of the council room. When she turned the corner, she saw a boy almost as tall as her with the Sharingan staring at her impassively. She noticed the wings too, but didn't feel scared because he felt familiar for some reason. Naruto stared at the woman in front of him. She gave off a vibe that said, "Don't with me." She was a woman in her late 20s, well over Naruto's age. Her appearance was just animalistic. She has long, spiky, untamed wild hair, with vertical slit pupils, and elongated teeth and nails. She had purple fang-like marks on both of her cheeks as well as markings over her eyes and a dark shade of purple lipstick. She wears the standard outfit of a Konoha shinobi consisting of a flak jacket and, from what Naruto could tell, a black suit underneath with the sleeves rolled up and bandages around her legs. Even with all the clothing, he could tell that she was well over a D cup. She doesn't wear Konoha's headband, which just shows how much she doesn't give a She stared at him, still trying to figure out why he's familiar. Who are you talking about? Ojiazan. Is what he said true? He asked again, getting a little impatient. The moment he said that, she knew who this was but couldn't believe it. She smelled the air again. It smells like him. She definitely didn't sense any henges, so it wasn't an illusion. Naruto? She asked hopefully. Naruto then remembered about his changes and that nobody would recognize him. He was also surprised that this woman didn't outright try to kill him or call him names. He was even more surprised that she actually called him by his name. Yeah, it's me. I'm sorry, do I know you? Now really curious and completely forgot about what he was talking about. Oh yeah, sorry. My name is Tsume Izuka. Excuse me for being nosy, but were you attacked? The council in the was saying that you were dead. That brought Naruto back to what he was saying. His eyes hardened. Yes, I was attacked. Though they did not succeed. Now tell me, is what the old man said true? Did he never care? He asked with a hint of anger. Tsume's eyes softened. I'm sorry, Naruto. He's not really the man you think he is. Despite his anger, he couldn't help but let some tears fall. Then I really am completely alone. He said with sadness in every word as his heart ached. Tsume's heart wrenched as she saw how hurt he was. She didn't know what to do, so she just hugged him. She let him bawl his eyes out. She couldn't help but feel hurt herself when seeing him sad. It made her heart ache too. She would try to figure out why later. Right now Naruto needs help. When he was done crying, he looked at her and couldn't help but smile. Maybe he doesn't have to be alone. Maybe he can have a friend in her. Thank you, Tsume, he said as he felt a lot better. He now felt really comfortable around her. You don't have to be alone, Naruto. How about you stay at my compound? Council be damned if I let you stay alone anymore, she said as she was happy that he felt better. Naruto looked at her in surprise. He weighed his options. On one hand, he could stay at his apartment and keep himself distant. Maybe even leave the village. On the other hand, he could go with Tsume and live with her. Probably make new friends. Naruto chose the obvious. I would love to stay with you, Naruto said with a sad smile as the previous conversation still haunting his mind. All those times the old man has been nice to him were a lie. At least now he has a chance to start over. By the way, Naruto, what happened to you? The last time I remember seeing you, you were a little shrimp with blonde hair and not even close to being as handsome as you are now, she stated with a smirk at seeing his blush. Hey guys, should I tell her? He thought as he really wanted to tell her about Madara and the others. Knock yourself out. I can tell this girl really likes you, so can't hurt to tell her, Madara replied, happy that at least one person actually cares. Naruto nodded, then looked back at Tsume. Can we go to your compound first? I kind of don't want anybody else to hear this, Naruto stated as he sensed some people approaching. Sure. Just meet me at the compound, she said as she wanted to get there quickly. No need, I'll take us there. All tell me where to go while we're in the air, he said as he made his way to the nearest window. In the air? She asked with curiosity as she followed him. He turned around and faced her. Hold on, he exclaimed as he wrapped his hands around her waist and jumped out the window. She made a loud eep noise as he started to flap his wings and started to make his way to where he knew the clan compounds were located. Wee woo, she yelled as she looked like she was having the time of her life. To make it better, he started to do twists and turns and loops. All kinds of flying tricks. Eventually they made it to the compound, which somewhat saddened Tsume as she wanted to stay close to him like that. She knew he was only around Kiba's age, but she couldn't help but be attracted to the Gaki. Having scared away her husband and no one to love didn't help the situation. Alright, let's go inside. Even though it's dark out, I bet the Gakis are still up, she said as she made her way to the door. You have kids? He asked, a little saddened. Yeah, what's wrong? She asked, hoping she didn't do anything to upset him. So does that mean you have a husband? He asked, trying to hide the obvious jealousy in his voice. Tsume smirked as she noticed it. Why are you jealous, Naruto? She asked, trying to embarrass him. He stuttered. No, he said, cursing that his stuttering wasn't helping the situation. She smiled at him. It's okay, Naruto-kun, and no, I don't have a husband, she said as she opened the door to the house. She missed the smile Naruto had on his face. Like Tsume said, when they walked in, all of the lights were on and you could hear chatter in the living room. Naruto followed Tsume as she walked into the living room. When they entered, he saw a girl that looked to be in her mid-teens. She had brown hair which she wore in a ponytail with 2 locks of hair framing her face and large, black eyes. She was wearing light lipstick on and fang-like tattoos on both of her cheeks, in addition to a tattoo on her upper right arm that resembles a flower. She was wearing a black tank top with words on saying, "Don't with this bitch," showing a generous amount of cleavage. Just from that shirt he could tell she was probably a D cup, like Tsume. The only other thing she was wearing was a black lace panties so he could see her very creamy legs. Overall, like her mother, she was drop dead. "Hana, we have a guest," Tsume said. She gestured toward Naruto. "I'm Naruto Uzumaki, nice to meet you," he said, trying to give his best impression but couldn't help but blush due to her clothing. Or lack of clothing. Hana looked up from a book she was reading and stared at Naruto. "Mom, what the hell are you talking about? Since when does Naruto have the Sharingan?" Hana asked as she stared into Naruto's eyes. "Oh, it's him all right. Although the Sharingan part one would like to know as well," Tsume stated as she sat next to Hana. Naruto sat on the floor in front of them as he took a deep breath. "Well, get comfortable cause it's a long story." When Naruto finished his story, he looked at the 2 women to gauge their reactions. He knew it was a lot of information, so he gave them some time to think. A few moments later, he was jumped on and smothered between 4 large mounds. "Oh Naruto, I never knew your life was so hard. I don't know how any little boy could endure such treatment," Hana yelled as she cried into his shoulder. "I knew it was bad, I didn't know it was this bad though. People can be so ignorant. I wish I was there to help you," Tsume cried as she too wept into his other shoulder. "It's okay, really, I'm okay. I mean, yeah, it hurt, but I'm fine now, forget about the villagers. They got what was coming to them anyway," he stated as he remembered how he vaporized those people. "Well, no more. For now on you will be living with the Inuzuka clan. I won't take no for an answer either," Tsume stated with her hands on her hips and a smile on her face. Naruto smiled as he was happy someone cared for him this much. "I wasn't even planning on it, Tsume-chan," he said with a smirk as he saw the blush on her face. He walked up to her and gave her a subtle kiss on the lips. She didn't resist at all. Naruto could tell that never again will he be alone. Hana looked at the 2 and couldn't help but smile. She knows that Naruto will make her mother happy. Tsume was always so lonely ever since her husband left. But Hana couldn't help but feel a ping of jealousy. She really wished she had someone like that. Naruto looked at Hana and could see the sad smile on her face. So she must be lonely too, Naruto thought. He looked to Tsume as she could tell what he was thinking. He sees her give a nod of approval as he leaves Tsume's embrace. He made his way over to Hana and lifted her chin with his finger as he stared into her eyes. "And thank you, Hana-chan." Naruto gives her a kiss on the lips. He just met these people and already he has 2 women in his life. Hana was so happy. It was the most simple kiss and yet she felt like they had just made love. Staring into his eyes just made her intoxicated. Most people don't live to see the next day when they're staring directly into the Sharingan, but when he was looking at her, she couldn't help but get more excited. "Well, Tsume-chan, Hana-chan, if it's not too much trouble, I'm very exhausted from everything that's happened and I really want to get some sleep, so can you show me to where I'll be sleeping?" he asked as he honestly felt like he was about to pass out any minute. Tsume and Hana both looked at each other and smirked. "Well, Naruto-kun, our house doesn't have any guest rooms right now, so you will be sharing a room with me and Hana," Tsume said as she watched Naruto's eyes widen. "Damn, not only do I really like these hot women, but I'm going to have to share a bed with them. Kami, please keep my hormones in check," Naruto stated as he blushed and replied, "I'm okay if it's alright with you. We'd be happy too. Well, let's head to bed, guys. Tomorrow we'll introduce you to Kiba." Oh, he's going to have a tantrum when he finds out a 6-year-old bagged his mom and his sister. Hana stated as she made her way to the bedroom with a sway to her hips. Naruto nervously chuckled as he looked over to Tsume and saw that she had gotten undressed. She had the exact same shirt and panties that Hana had. The only difference is that Tsume had bigger. He didn't even bother saying anything as he just went to the bedroom. Entering it, he finds Hana waiting there with a smile on her face. He blushes and just lays on the bed next to her. Tsume joins them with her being on his left and Hana on his right. He wrapped his arms over them as he smiled. His wings instinctively wrapped around them, protecting them as they would their owner. Well, life is great, he thought before he closed his eyes and drifted into a peaceful slumber. Naruto opened his eyes and sat up. He looked at the two women in the bed and wondered if he's met them before. Surely he would remember their faces. Trying not to dwell on the past, Naruto got up and stretched. Alright guys, when do we start training? He thought as he was eager to get strong. Whenever you'd like. There is a place somewhat close to this village called a hyperbolic time chamber. A year spent in this place is like one day in the real world. You also age as you would in the real world. Vegeta said as he remembered how he, Kakarot, Trunks and Gohan trained in it before the fight with Cell. Yes, that would be very useful considering the many things we are going to have to teach you. Madara stated as he thought about how he was going to teach him everything he knows. Okay, that will be the perfect place. I'm going to get the food necessary for the year spent. Naruto said as he made his way out of the room. Don't worry about food or cloths. All of the food you need is in the chamber. And I'm pretty sure there are Saiyan battle suits in the chamber. We left them there just in case we went back. We did a couple of times but it wasn't to train. Vegeta said as he remembered Kakarot's fight with that giant yellow thing. Janemba, I think its name was. Vegeta thought. Well, I guess I'll get going right away. Naruto said as he left a note for Tsume and Hana. He jumped out the window and flew on top of the house. Okay, so which direction do I head? He asked, not wanting to be flying around through random places. Head northeast and fly as high up as you can. It should be there. Vegeta said as he was watching through Naruto's eyes. As Naruto flew, he couldn't help but look back on how much his life changed in just one day. He thought about Tsume and Hana and about how much they care for him. Hopefully he can meet more people like that. Suddenly Naruto spotted something high in the sky. It looked like a large sphere from what he can see. Although looking closer, he could see that it ended halfway, making it look like a half sphere. That's it, Naruto. Kami's lookout. Head to the top and go to the temple. Vegeta said. Naruto nodded as he flew up towards the large object. When he reached the top, he gazed at the structure. Being so high up, he could see how this would be called a lookout. In the center was a circular structure. Probably the temple that Vegeta was talking about. I really don't feel like describe it. If you know what it looks like, then good for you. If not, shame on you. Look it up on Google Images. Naruto descended down on top of its surface, blowing out so dust from the momentum of his wings. As he started to walk towards the temple, he couldn't help but feel that he was not alone. I sense a large power level inside the temple. Be careful. Whoever is in there, they're extremely powerful. Probably even stronger than the three of us combined. Vegeta said as he had a sense on who it was. Naruto nodded as he was on guard. Hopefully this person is friendly or he would have to flee quickly. As he made his way inside, Vegeta told him that the power level was definitely close. Whatever it is, it should be right around that corner. Vegeta stated, as he was anxious to see who it was. When Naruto turned the corner, he saw something he did not expect. It was a large man inside what looked to be a glass capsule filled with water. He had black spiky hair that went in all directions but didn't fall down. He wore a dark orange gi over a dark blue undershirt. He wears dark blue wristbands, along with dark blue boots that are outfitted with yellow laces. Over the waist of his gi he wore a blue sash, almost like a belt. I know this isn't the future Goku look, but I like his DBZ look better. I can't believe it. Vegeta exclaimed as he was looking through Naruto's eyes. What? Who is this? Naruto asked as he approached the capsule. This man has been my rival for years and I was never able to surpass him. His name is Kakarot, but everyone on Earth calls him Goku. Although I have no idea how he survived all these years. Must have something to do with that capsule. He stated as he remembered how many times he and Kakarot fought and he lost. Him even stronger than you, huh? Naruto said as he got an idea. He stepped back a bit and reared back his fist. With all of his momentum he punched the glass with the desired effect. The glass shattered to pieces as the water came pouring out. The man began to fall but Naruto caught him, being a lot lighter than he expected. A few seconds later Goku came to as he opened his eyes and took in his surroundings. He noticed a young man a bit shorter than him holding him. He must have been unconscious, cause that would explain why. Then he remembered why he was in the capsule in the first place. Hiya, my name is Goku. Goku exclaimed loudly with a carefree tone. Kakarot, can you please quiet down? You only said like 5 words and yet I'm already annoyed with you. Naruto said as he covered her ears. Goku looked at him for a second and then his eyes widened. Vegeta, you're still alive. I thought I was going to be the only Saiyan left thanks to this capsule. You're a lot smaller than I remember though. Goku said as he measured Naruto's head to his chest. Okay, first of all, I'm not Vegeta, although he is my ancestor. And second, don't mock me about my height. Naruto yelled. He may not be short anymore, but it was still a touchy subject. Goku seemed to stare at him for a bit before he smiled. Sorry, it's just that nobody besides Vegeta calls me that, so I just thought you were him. Goku stated in a lower voice and slight embarrassment. Anyway, how are you still alive? From what Vegeta told me, the Saiyans lived over 1,000 years ago. Naruto asked as he could hardly believe someone can live for 1,000 years. Well, Kami had a vision that a young warrior will awaken the Saiyan blood after the race has died out. Being only me and Vegeta were left. So Bulma made me a life-preserving capsule that can keep someone the same age and their body intact for 5,000 years. Though I only needed 1,000. I was to be the one that meets this said person and teach him all of my abilities. Goku said as he was stretching to get the kinks out of his body. Well, aren't you lucky? You not only get me to teach you but you also get the most powerful Saiyan in history. Oh, and speaking of training, I want to hurry this up and start as soon as possible. Tell Kakarot to bring us to the time chamber. Vegeta said as he hates it when people just stand around and talk when they can be training or fighting. Don't we all? Okay, well, that's an interesting story, but can we please get to training now? I want to start as soon as possible. Take me to the chamber. That would be the best place to train, Naruto stated. Oh, you know about the hyperbolic time chamber? Okay, well then I guess you should know that Kami increased the time you can spend in the chamber to 5 years. So get ready to have 5 years of non-stop training. Goku exclaimed with a thumbs up as he teleported in front of the door to the hyperbolic time chamber. Naruto shook his head as he made his way into chamber followed by Goku. When they were inside, the minute the door closed, Vegeta, Madara and Jin popped out of nowhere. Naruto almost fell over from the startle they gave him. What the hell was that? I almost had a heart attack. Naruto exclaimed as he was genuinely terrified from that. It seems that this time chamber pulls any power source out into its plane. Even if they're in someone's mind. Madara stated as he looked around. Goku turned to Naruto. Alright, what do you want to work on first? Physical training, spiritual training, ki training. We have 5 years, so plenty of time. Goku stated as he wanted to get an idea on what to train Naruto in. Yes, now you can be trained by 2 Saiyans, which is way better than 1. Plus, mine and Vegeta's moves are completely different, which means that your arsenal will just be that much bigger. Goku exclaimed as he was really excited. This kid might eventually become stronger than him. I have an idea. How about each year will be divided to a respective teacher? The first you will be giving me physical, spiritual and ki training, second will be Vegeta who will be doing the same, third is Jin, one of my ancestors, who will teach me to master his fighting style, and fourth will be Madara, my grandfather, who will teach me all of his shinobi techniques. The last year will be training for whatever you guys think I need to be trained in. Naruto said, explaining each role of his teachers. Also Naruto, it's best that I teach you this technique now. It's called the Shadow Clone Jutsu. These are solid clones that when destroyed or dispersed will give the information throughout that clone's life back to the user. This also works for physical training as well. Madara said as he sent a mental image of the hand sign to Naruto. Practice those seals and learn the jutsu. Make clones every time you start your training to do multiple things at the same time. Madara stated. Alright Naruto, after you're done spacing out you want to start training? Goku asked as he was watching Naruto staring off into space. Sure, let's get started. In Konoha, Tsume stirred awake not too long after Naruto left. She looked around and saw that Hana was still asleep and that Naruto was gone. She got up and went into the kitchen to see that he wasn't in there either. A little worried, she went into the living room and saw that there was a note on the table. She went over and picked it up. Dear Tsume-chan, sorry for not staying a little longer to say goodbye, but I wanted to leave as soon as possible. I'm going to be gone for a couple days for training, so I won't be in Konoha. I know you're on the council, but please don't let the Hokage know that I'm still alive. It wouldn't do me any good if I'm being hunted down. Oh, and don't tell Kiba about me yet. I want it to be a surprise. I'll see you in a few days. Love, Naruto. Tsume nodded in understanding as to not let the Hokage know about him. She wants him to join the academy so if they don't know him as the demon child, he will be able to excel as fast as he wants without people trying to hold him back. Especially with his new appearance, nobody will know that it's him until he wants them to know. She put the letter down as she made her way back to the kitchen to make breakfast, all the while anticipating his return. XXXXXXXXX. First year in the hyperbolic time chamber. Training with Goku had to be the most grueling thing in the whole world. When Goku told him to do 500 push-ups, 500 sit-ups, 500 pull-ups, then sprint around the chamber 500 times, he thought that it wouldn't be that hard with his new body. Oh, how he was wrong. At first he struggled really hard to complete the entire exercise. Then after a few days in the chamber it got a lot easier. That's when Goku told him to do it with weighted clothing on. Having got these new change of cloths, he now wears a faint blue almost gray weighted gi on with 20 kilos, 45 pounds worth of weight and darker blue sash on. He wore black pants similar to Jin's except with white flames instead of red. On his wrists he wore gauntlets like Jin's except they too were black and they held 10 kilos of weight, 25 pounds basically. He wore combat boots that were black as well, and on the ankles, he also wore 10 kilos of weight. With all of this weight on, the training became much harder, but he pushed through it, wanting to get stronger. After Goku was satisfied with his physical training, though he still performed the exercises every day, they moved on to spiritual training where he learned to unlock his ki. After that they started to learn ki techniques. When Naruto first performed the Kamehameha, it was a lot different than Goku's. His was black while Goku's was blue. His first time was about as big as Gohan's Super Saiyan 2 Kamehameha. So Goku taught him how to control it and tone down the amount of power he puts into it. Goku also taught him the Kaioken, which increases the user's speed and strength. Somewhat like the 8 gates except without the dire consequences of going full power, though Goku told him to stop at Kaioken X10 unless he needed to. Goku taught him the instant transmission, healing, and the spirit bomb thought he may not use that very often since it takes so long to make it. Goku also taught him the afterimage technique, which he found to be extremely useful. At the end of the year Naruto was able to do about 10,000 push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups and laps, all while wearing about 500 kilos, 1,000 pounds, and I know that's pretty ridiculous, but it's my story so I don't give a in total on his body. Second year in the hyperbolic time chamber. The second year was very exciting for Naruto. It was all about learning ki techniques. And Vegeta had a whole lot of them. One of his, and also Vegeta's, favorite moves he learned was the Bang Beam. All he does is point his index finger out and his thumb up and raise his arm as if he's firing a gun. Ninjas don't use guns, but he liked the concept of the move. He also learned other techniques like dirty fireworks, big bang attacks, Gaelic gun, double Gaelic gun, energy rings, explosive wave, maximum flasher, final flash, galaxy breaker, the list goes on. Vegeta also taught him the energy barrier, which protects him from anything that hits him, in telekinesis. You all know what that is. Third year in the hyperbolic time chamber. The training with Jin was almost as grueling as Goku's. Jin's style was a mix between his family Kazama style self-defense and the Mishima style karate. After Naruto got the katas for Jin's style, which he hasn't named yet, Jin had spars with him to help Naruto with the flaws. Naruto wouldn't call it a spar though. It was more like Jin just beat the shit out of him and told him what he was doing wrong. Naruto, eventually, was able to land a hit on him. After that, Jin started going all out and didn't hold back whatsoever. There was not one time where Naruto didn't finish the spar with a few broken bones. Thanks to his fast healing, he just got right back into sparring. Close to the end of the year, Naruto was faring well against Jin. He actually was able to break a couple of Jin's ribs a few times in his leg. Since Jin didn't have Naruto's healing rate, he had to eat Goku's senzu beans. Jin also taught Naruto how to harness the devil's gene. He taught him how to control his laser and how to control lightning through his punches and kicks to enhance them. When Naruto finally mastered the style, Jin said that he can give it a name. Naruto thanked him and said that he would do it later. Fourth year in the hyperbolic time chamber. This year had to be the most exciting for Naruto. Every technique learned during this year were enormously destructive. Before they even started, Madara had him doing numerous chakra control exercises. Naruto completed water walking, tree walking, kunai spinning, and even an exercise called waterfall running. Pretty self-explanatory though, he was still having trouble with that. Madara knew just about every jutsu there was to know. Even some he only knew. He taught him how to control and master the power of the Sharingan. Eventually Naruto awakened his Mangekyo Sharingan and, to the surprise of Madara, the Rinnegan, when Madara put him through an intense genjutsu called Tsukuyomi. Then Naruto's training intensified as Madara taught him every technique he knew about the Rinnegan. He taught him Shinra Tensai, Tengai Shinsei, Chibaku Tensai, Bansho Tenin, all of the 6 paths, and even the outer path. For the Sharingan, Madara taught Naruto the Susanoo, Amaterasu, Kamui, Yusaka Magatama, and Izanagi. All bloodlines aside, Naruto also learned many elemental jutsus. Since having Madara as his grandfather, Naruto has all elemental affinities, with fire being his strongest. Naruto learned how to use shuriken, kunai, and katanas. Although he might not need them due to his powerful taijutsu, it's always good to keep the enemy guessing. Final year in the hyperbolic time chamber. Naruto expected the last year to be somewhat of a cool-down year or a year to review everything. But this year turned out to be pretty eventful. Madara showed Naruto a few seals that would help him with his training. But the one that really mattered was the gravity seal that was placed on him. He still kept the weights on, but the seal was like him training in 100x gravity. He was already as fast as Vegeta with the weights and seal on. He couldn't imagine what it would be like if he took them off. He might even be as fast, maybe even faster than Goku when he's in his regular form. Naruto was not able to achieve Super Saiyan though. Goku said he will eventually, but it still ticked him off. Naruto is now able to beat Jin in a sparring match as well as break out of Tsukuyomi. But the biggest event was when he met his tenant. Flashback. Naruto was meditating as he entered his mindscape. But this time he was in a different place. Instead of it being complete darkness, he was in a sewer-like place. There were pipes that ran along the walls, each a different color. One was red, one was blue, and the last was black. He deducted that the red was Kyuubi's chakra, the blue was his regular chakra, and the black was his ki. As he made his way down the one-path sewer, he felt a low rumbling sound. The further he traversed, the louder it got. Eventually he made it to a large room, with the ceiling being way taller than the Hokage Tower. At the far end from him, there was a giant cage with a piece of paper in the middle that read, "Seal." That noise is probably coming from in there. Must be the Kyuubi, he concluded as he walked closer to the cage till he was just in front of the bars. Well, now or never, Naruto thought as he stepped through the bars and entered the cage. When he stepped in, his hair was somewhat pushed back by some wind. Then it died down. Then it was pushed back again. Is it sleeping? Naruto thought as he never would have guessed that the Kyuubi would be sleeping. He got close enough so that he could see the outline of the Kyuubi's head. I might regret this later. Hey sleepy head, wake up. Naruto said softly as he tapped Kyuubi's nose. The large fox began to stir, and as it did, torches simultaneously lit up the cage. Kyuubi opened up its large red eyes as it looked at its surroundings before noticing Naruto in front of it. Ah, so the warden finally graces me with his presence. Why exactly did you come here? Kyuubi asked as it saw no reason for Naruto to be here. Well, I guess you can say that I wanted to form a mutual relationship. You've been inside me for years, so I felt it rude that I haven't talked to you once. Naruto said with sincerity. Kyuubi sighed as it relaxed again. Well, then I might as well get comfortable. Kid, you seem alright. And if it's worth anything, I'm sorry. Kyuubi said as it remembered all the torture Naruto received from those ignorant villagers. You don't have to apologize, Naruto said as he sat down cross-legged. It's not your fault that the villagers can't tell the difference between the demon and its container. Let the villagers damn themselves, because when I'm strong enough, this village will burn. Naruto said as he remembered his promise he gave to Madara and the others. I like your attitude, kid. Tell you what, I'll keep giving you more yukai to make you stronger, and I'll even teach you some techniques. Kyuubi said as it wanted Konoha to burn just as much as Naruto did. Okay, but what's the catch? Naruto asked as he didn't believe that Kyuubi would just give away its chakra, even though they have the same motive. You're a smart one, aren't you? The catch is, Kyuubi began before it was encased in a red light. Naruto had to cover his eyes as the light was really bright. When he could see that the light died down, he put his arm down. What stood in front of him was probably the most drop-dead gorgeous woman he has ever seen. She had long red hair that went down to her mid-back with a pair of fox ears sticking out of her head. She also had the same whisker marks that Naruto has, just more defined. She wore a small red dress that showed a generous amount of cleavage along with red sleeves to match. She was easily a D cup, maybe even bigger than Tsume's, but all he knew is that they were big. She also had red stockings on and also red and black high heels. To top everything off, she had 9 long tails that were flowing freely behind her. Naruto was speechless as he gazed at her body while she was smiling at him. Well, I never thought I would get this reaction from my container. Kyuubi said as she stretched a bit, letting Naruto get a full view of her jiggle. He snapped out of his trance as he wiped his nose from the blood that was coming out. Well, this is your human form, EEH. Naruto laughed a little nervously as he was still ogling her. Yes, I thought it necessary to be in this form to tell you what the catch was. She stated as Naruto now remembered what they were talking about. To have all of my chakra and learn from me, you must be my mate. She said as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. Naruto coughed as he said, wait, did I hear that right? You want to be my mate? She nodded. But, why? Naruto almost yelled incredulously as he could not believe someone like Kyuubi would want to be with him. Well, I haven't formed a relationship with anyone for years, and seeing you definitely puts you at the top of the potential mate list. Although there's nobody else on said list, so that just gives you a bigger chance altogether. So will you do it? Please. She begged pleadingly as she hoped he would say yes. Naruto weighed his options. On one hand, he could say no and probably be hated by this gorgeous woman, and also not get her chakra. On the other hand, he could say yes and have another person that loves him. A person that's going to give him power. Oh, and did he mention she's hot? This is a no-brainer. Naruto thought as he realized Kyuubi was still waiting for his answer. He sighed. Sure, why not? I don't see any harm in being with you, Q-chan. Naruto said as he rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. She squealed and latched on to him as if he were a lifeline. Thank you, thank you, thank you, you won't regret this. She said as she kissed him between each thank you. I hope I don't. Naruto thought. Oh, and one more thing. My name is Ari. Yeah, that Ari. Look on my profile. Alright, well, see you later, Ari-chan. Naruto said as he phased out of the mindscape. That boy is going to do great things. Ari thought as she laid down on her tails as a makeshift bed. Oh man, I forgot to tell him to change the mindscape. Oh well, I tell him the next time he visits. She said as she drifted off to sleep. Flashback end. Ever since that day, Naruto has increased his physical training due to the Aries chakra now going into his coils even more. He now trains at 500x Earth's normal gravity and moves freely with it. He still kept the weights on and even increased them to total about 1,000 kilos, 2,500 pounds. Smiley face. With the seal and weights on, he is definitely stronger than Vegeta, even when he goes first level Super Saiyan. He's also just as strong and fast as Goku when he goes Super Saiyan. Naruto would estimate that if he took the seal and weights off, he would be able to match the strength and speed of a Super Saiyan 3 Goku and maybe stronger than a Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. I know it's against canon, but I felt like using him. Naruto also mastered all of the chakra control exercises. His level of chakra was even higher than a Hokage, not including the Aries chakra. He's now able to use about 3 taels worth without having the risk of going crazy. Present time. Naruto was standing in front of all of his sensei as he started to take the weights off. Today was the last day in the hyperbolic time chamber when he would go back to Konoha. Goku told him to take the weights and seal off on the last day to get used to regular gravity again. When Naruto took off the last weight, which was his GI, he immediately felt a complete difference to his body. He felt light as a feather and he still didn't even take his gravity seal off. Naruto bit his thumb and wiped the blood horizontally on his chest. An intricate pattern of seals appeared and he put his finger in the ram seal and yelled, "Release." And when he did, the seal disappeared. Naruto looked at his hand and flexed it a bit. He saw a rock on the ground and picked it up. He threw across the plane and then it just disappeared. Naruto opened his hand and you could see the crushed rock in it. I feel good, Naruto said as he did a couple of punches and kicks to test his speed. You know the drill, Naruto. Me and Vegeta are going to test what level you're on par with. We know you're stronger than us at Super Saiyans 1 and 2. So let's see Super Saiyan 3. Goku said as he powered up to SSJ 3, as did Vegeta. I know it's not canon, but I'm using him anyways. Naruto smiled as he got into the now dubbed Devil Fist stance. It looked like a regular boxer stance, but his arms were a little more extended and his arms in front of his face, left arm forward with his knees slightly bent. Jin Kazama's stance in Tekken 6. Remember, no ninja techniques. Just regular strength, speed and any key techniques you can use. Goku stated as he got into his stance. Now, let's begin, Vegeta said as he disappeared, followed by Goku. Naruto moved his left arm to his side as he blocked a kick from Vegeta. As Goku appeared, kicking where his head used to be. Naruto knocked Vegeta's leg away and punched him in the stomach as he grabbed Goku's leg with his left hand and pulled him down until his jaw collided Naruto's elbow. Naruto then threw Goku towards where Vegeta landed after he hit him. Naruto smiled as he was finally the first one to get a hit on both of them too. Then his eyes narrowed as he saw that they weren't there. Before he knew it, a fist collided with his stomach. Naruto's mouth was open in a silent scream as Vegeta then started hitting him with a barrage of punches and kicks. He punched him in the gut again before his hand glowed into a Gallic gun and blasted Naruto away. Naruto shakily got up as he dusted himself off. Well, that hurt, he thought as he got back into the Devil's Fist stance. He then saw Vegeta start to charge at him. But something was wrong. Wait, where's He thought before a wild sense kicked in and he quickly used instant transmission to teleport behind Goku and kicked him in the back as Vegeta came into the fray. Now he found himself dodging punches from both Goku and Vegeta as they threw them as fast as they could. I can't keep dodging like this. I have to step it up a notch. Naruto thought as he yelled. Kaioken. Red fire surrounded him as he started to retaliate. He grabbed onto Vegeta's right arm with his left as he span around and kicked Goku in the face. Pulling Vegeta down by his right arm, Naruto uppercut Vegeta but kept him in place with his arm. He then punched him in the face again and let his arm go as Vegeta staggered. Naruto then moved to the side as he span and kicked a charging Goku in the back of the head as he went flying. Naruto then charged in under him and threw his leg up as he kicked him in the gut. He flew up as Goku was still a bit dazed and drop-kicked him in the back as Goku went flying towards the ground. Naruto then powered up a ki blast and shot it towards Goku's descending form causing a small explosion. From behind him, Vegeta charged up a maximum flasher and blasted it towards Naruto. Naruto turned around as he sensed something coming towards him but was too late as the blast hit him square in the chest and sent him flying right into Goku's knee, who had recovered from Naruto's previous onslaught. Naruto grunted as Goku moved in front of him and kicked him in the back making him go flying in the air. Goku then I'm going to call instant transmission that sometimes, behind Naruto and kicked him in the back of the head making him spin towards Goku again and drop-kicked him so he would hit the ground harder. When Naruto finally fell, Goku appeared right in front of him and charged a Kamehameha with his right hand right in front of Naruto's face. Not wanting to meet this technique at such close range, Naruto struggled painfully and used instant transmission to teleport behind Vegeta, who was watching Naruto get his kicked and drop-kicked him with as much power as he can muster. Vegeta went flying and ended up hitting into Goku as they went tumbling a few feet. Naruto put his hands in a familiar position. Ka, mi, ha, mi. Naruto began as the black orb formed in his hands. Goku and Vegeta both got up as they saw what Naruto was doing. Vegeta spread his arms as yellow orbs covered in electricity appeared in both hands. Goku as well started to form his own Kamehameha wave. Ha! Naruto yelled as he fired his blast towards Goku and Vegeta. Final flash. Vegeta yelled as he brought both hands together and fired his blast towards Naruto's. Ha! Goku doing the same. Goku and Vegeta's blast both merged together creating a large green blast as it smashed into Naruto's black Kamehameha. The blasts being so strong it created a large half-green half-blue sphere in midair. Slowly green started to overtake the ball as Goku and Vegeta's blasts were stronger. Naruto grunted. It's too strong. I didn't anticipate the fact that they would merge. If I don't do something quick, that thing is going to hit me directly. I guess I have to use it. Naruto thought as he began to yell and his body started to get more defined and larger than it already is. Kaioken. Times 10. Naruto yelled as his body was encased in red fire again and his hair turned red. A large surge went through his Kamehameha as Naruto's wave began to overpower Goku's and Vegeta's combined power. Goku and Vegeta both yelled as they too struggled to overpower Naruto's blast. Wow! He's really strong. To be able to maintain a 10x Kaioken Kamehameha, while trying to overpower both me and Vegeta. This kid is crazy. Thought as Naruto was still overpowering them. Darn it, I will not be overpowered by him. Especially when I'm using my strongest attack. Alright, that's it. I'm going all out. I can't believe he's making me do this. Vegeta thought as he yelled again and pushed almost all of his power into the blast. Vegeta, what are you doing? You're using too much power. He may not be able to handle it. Goku yelled as he didn't think Vegeta would actually try to kill Naruto. Shut up, Kakarot. I know what I'm doing. Sometimes you have to push a Saiyan past his limits in order for him to get stronger. Vegeta yelled as he kept pushing his power into the blast. Fine. Goku said as he yelled and started to push in his power as well. Naruto's arms started to hurt as he felt the pressure of their combined power and the Kaioken start to take effect on him. Alright, I have to step it up again. Sorry Kakarot. But I would say this situation definitely calls for some drastic measures. Naruto thought, forgetting that this was supposed to be a friendly spar. Naruto's body started to get even bigger as the red fire intensified. Kaioken. Times 20. Naruto yelled as he pushed every ounce of power he had into his Kamehameha. Immediately the large sphere was completely encased in black as Naruto won their fight for power, and a large explosion blew Goku and Vegeta away. Naruto panted as he looked at the crater that the explosion created and dropped down to one knee in exhaustion and pain, as using a Kaioken at 20x really took a toll on his body as he had no more energy left. He looked up and saw a battered Goku and Vegeta walking towards him, their cloths almost completely ripped off. Well, I couldn't have done it better myself, Goku said as he staggered a bit. Pretty exhausted after taking a hit from that blast. And you didn't trust me, Kakarot, Vegeta said as he grinned at Goku. What are you talking about? Naruto asked as he didn't know what was going on. Well, it was genius's here idea to have us use all our power in the blast. That's why you had so much trouble, Goku stated as he pulled out 2 senzu beans and handed the other one to Vegeta. Naruto stood up as Aries' healing factor kicked in and he already almost felt as good as new. Hey, you guys are crazy, Naruto said as went back to the time chamber, or home base, as he called it. He walked in and greeted both Madara and Jin. So Naruto, how'd it go? I didn't see much from here, but I did see a very large explosion, Madara asked as he saw Naruto enter the chamber. It went well. I ended up winning our spar, if you can call it that. I can beat Vegeta and Goku at full power without my ninja skills when they're in SSJ3. Naruto stated with pride. Well, Naruto, tomorrow we'll be leaving the chamber, so get some rest so your body will be fully replenished, Goku said. Alright, well, see you guys later. Naruto waved as he flopped down on his bed, falling asleep the moment his head hit the pillow. That boy, he's going to become very strong, isn't he? Madara asked as he looked at Goku, Jin and Vegeta. Definitely. He may even get stronger than me when he's older, Goku said as he thought of the possibility. Yes, strong indeed, Madara thought as he went back to his business. Naruto woke up with a yawn as he sat up from his bed. He looked and saw Vegeta and Goku sparring. Jin was perfecting his katas and Madara was leaning against the wall, reading a book. Naruto got up and did his morning routine. After he was done, he put new cloths on that Goku made for him. Over a white shirt he wore a non-weighted black gi, like Goku's except a different color, tied down with a white sash. On his arms he wore white gauntlets similar to Jin's, just without the spike and the metal on the back, instead replaced with the Uzumaki family symbol. The gauntlets Jin wears in Tekken 4, just instead the Uzumaki symbol on the back of the hand. He also wore baggy Anbu-like pants with black steel-toed combat boots. Naruto's actual physical appearance changed a lot over the years. He no longer had his wings as he found out how to merge them into his back, making them look similar to the tattoo on his chest. He now has hair almost exactly like Madara's except for it being more spikier at the top. His eyes change mostly too. Madara transplanted his Mangekyo Sharingan into Naruto's, so he immediately got the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan M's. He always kept the M's in his right eye and the Rinnegan in his left. His face got a lot more toned now, having all baby fat, if there was even any, gone and replaced with a handsome face that would make many men jealous. He also got a lot taller, standing at about 5 feet 6, which is pretty tall for an 11-year-old, and he hasn't even hit his growth spurt yet. Appearances aside, Naruto felt like he still needed work and could get better. But Goku said that he had a surprise for him and that it would help with his Saiyan transformation, but told him that he would give it to him on the last day. Excited, after he was done getting dressed, he made his way over to Goku, who had finished his spar with Vegeta. Hey, you're up. Well, how do you feel? Are you ready for your present? Goku said as he smiled with a big grin at Naruto. How many times do I have to tell you, Kakarot, to not be so loud? And yes, I am ready for whatever you dish at me, Naruto said as he picked at his ear, thinking that his eardrums were just busted. Okay, but I must warn you, I actually don't know if this is going to work. Since you're not a full Saiyan, you won't be able to go Super Saiyan. But you may be able to go into something that even surpasses that. This form is called a Super Saiyan God. I only used this once and I'm not able to maintain this form long. Maybe you're a special case. So I'm going to give this power to you. Goku said as he moved a little further from home base. Naruto nodded as he followed him. When Goku stopped, he spoke again. Right here should be good. Now hold my hands, I'm going to transfer the necessary energy to you. I want you to power up, okay? It will be a lot easier. This is going to be the last thing I do. Giving you this energy is like giving you my soul. It will kill me, so this is goodbye for now. Goku said as he looked at Vegeta. Vegeta looked at Goku and smirked. Guess I'll see you in the afterlife. Goodbye, Kakarot. Goku saluted to him and raised his arms in front of him. Naruto powered up, grabbed on to them as he waited to see what would happen next. Goku powered up to Super Saiyan and he seemed to gather up ki as his body started to glow a bit. A moment later, Goku's body was encased in blue flame that rose high up in the air before going towards Naruto. Goku's whole body became part of the flames and went into Naruto as well. The moment it reached him, the flame turned black and encased his body completely, almost looking like an Amaterasu. Naruto started to raise up in the air against his will, but he didn't panic as it felt very natural to him. His body gave off pulses of black ki as he was encased in a black orb, removing him from sight. The pulses stopped and the orb began to disappear as Naruto lowered toward the ground. His physical appearance changed slightly as his hair stood up a bit more and his body was a little slimmer. His hair also was now a reddish-purple color, kind of like Kaioken but with a noticeable hint of purple. Naruto looked at his hands and balled them into a fist. I feel great. This is the best feeling ever. What is this? He just gave you the power essence of 6 pure-hearted, which is the only way to reach this level of power. It is beyond the power of a Super Saiyan, but he wasn't able to keep the transformation for long due to his body not being able to handle it. You on the other hand seem to maintain it like how we do it with our Super Saiyan transformation. He would be proud of you, Naruto. Vegeta stated as he placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder and smiled at him. Naruto smiled back as these were the times that he really liked Goku and didn't want to strangle him to death. Thank you, Vegeta. Goku. Naruto said, as that was the first time he didn't say Kakarot. Well, after you're done, can we get out of here? We have a lot of business to take care of in Konoha. Jin said as he walked over to them with Madara. Sure, no problem. Can't wait to get back home. Naruto said as he powered down, forgetting that he was transformed. Well, say goodbye to the chamber. This is most likely going to be our last time seeing it. It only had about 5 years of use left, so we used up all of our time. Madara said as he watched Naruto open the door. Well, I'll see you guys later. Naruto said to Madara and the others as he waved his goodbye. We'll keep in touch. Madara said as the moment Naruto stepped out, they phased out of existence. Naruto breathed in some fresh air and then went through some hand seals and yelled, transform. His body was encased with smoke, and when the smoke cleared, it revealed a 5 feet younger looking Naruto. He still had the same outfit on, he just looked younger and was shorter. He also hanged his eyes so they didn't show the Sharingan or Rinnegan. Also, the crystal from his forehead was removed as well. Alright, later time chamber. Naruto said as her blasted off towards Konoha. When he got close, he landed and started to walk the rest of the way. Konoha. On the bright sunny day, hovering over Konoha, 2 Chunin guards were bored out of their minds. Nothing, and they literally mean nothing, has happened at all. Not even visits or teams coming back from missions. Absolutely nothing. Man, this sucks. I want some action. Why are we the ones that always have to get stuck with guard duty? The first Chunin exclaimed as he threw his hands up in exaggeration. Shut up, Azumo. I hate it just as much as you do, but it makes it even more annoying for me to have to listen to you complain all the time. Starting to give me a headache. The second said as he rubbing his head in faint pain. Ah, but Katetsu. He cut himself off as he spotted a small figure approaching. They both straightened up as the figure got in front of them. Halt, state your business. Kotetsu demanded. My name is Kazuya Mishima. I am here seeking refuge as I have no place to live. Naruto said as he thanked Jin for the alias. Alright, an escort will take you to the Hokage Tower. He will address the situation. Kotetsu said as he did a strange whistle and a familiar female appeared in a standard Junin outfit. Tsume-chan. Naruto thought but kept his composure though he couldn't fight down the blush that appeared on his face. Tsume-san, escort him the Hokage Tower. Kotetsu told her as he motioned towards Naruto. Are you trying to order me around, punk? Tsume asked as she gave Kotetsu a look. He started sweating. No ma'am. Would you please so kindly escort these two gentlemen to the tower? That's more like it. And as a matter of fact I will. Thank you for asking so nicely. She said with a smirk as she motioned for Naruto to follow her, now noticing his blush. Do I know you? Tsume asked as she looked at Naruto confused cause she thought she's seen this guy before. It's me, Tsume-chan. Naruto said with a smile. Tsume's eyes widened as she gave him a big hug. Naruto-kun. Oh, it's been so long. How have you been? Tsume asked as she was hugging him between her large mounds. First of all I can't breath, he said as she noticed his face being smothered. Second, I'm Kazuya to the public for now. The only people that can call me by my real name is Hana-chan, you and Kiba-san once I meet him. Third, I've only been gone for 5 days. Naruto stated as he wanted to set the rules on when to be called by his real name. Oh well, it felt like a few years. Oh yeah, and the academy starts in a few days so you're right on time. It's good that you came early. Now you can meet Kiba early, hopefully bond with him. It's always good to have a friend already before the first year. Tsume said as she wanted Naruto to make friends with people his own age, that's in the academy now. Yeah well, let me get instated with the Hokage first. Then we'll go to the compound. Naruto said as he wanted to get this over with. His expression became emotionless as they made it to the Hokage Tower. He still remembered about how the Hokage actually felt about him and he didn't want to go out and try to kill him. But if he provokes Naruto then he will gladly put him out of existence. Naruto made it to the entrance to his office. He remembered all of those times where he would look up to him and ask him for things, but then finds out it's all a lie. He took a deep breath and nodded to Tsume since she seemed to be waiting for confirmation when he's ready to enter. Tsume stopped in front of the door cause she knows that if she rushes this, Naruto just might flip out and do something that he's going to regret. When they entered they found the Hokage leisurely doing paperwork behind his desk facing the door. Naruto could tell that he was distraught and chuckled in his mind as the old man could just use shadow clones to do the paperwork for him. Ah, Tsume-san, how are you doing? And who is this that you have brought with you? Sarutobi asked, curious about the newcomer. Naruto stepped forward. Greetings Hokage-sama. Naruto started, straining a bit on the sama. My name is Kazuya Mishima. I was hoping that I could be instated as civilians in the village. I have no money so I would like to join the academy so I could become a ninja. Naruto said as he bowed. Ah yes, it's always good to have new citizens join us. But unfortunately we have no current apartments or houses open at the moment. They could stay with me. Tsume said, cutting him off. She looked at Naruto and smiled as he did back. This didn't go unnoticed by the Hokage. That could work. As long as they behave they're welcome to stay with the Inuzukas. The academy will open tomorrow so you can join that and you'll go through to see if you're capable of being a ninja. Sarutobi said as he signed some papers and handed them to Tsume. Thank you Hokage-sama. Tsume said as she bowed followed by Naruto. They walked out of the office and stopped in front of the window. Alright Naruto, let's go to the compound. Kiba should be home any minute from playing with his friends so we should get there quickly. I want to surprise him. Tsume said as she waited for Naruto to fly with her. Naruto nodded and put a hand on her shoulder. Brace yourself. First time kind of sucks. He said before putting his forefinger and middle finger to his forehead. A moment later they disappeared and reappeared inside of the compound next to Hana, who was in the kitchen sitting at the table. She was wearing the same thing she did when Naruto slept in the bed with them. Hana looked up from her paper as she sensed someone there and saw Tsume with some person that she somewhat recognized. "Hey mom, who's this?" Hana asked. "Actually, you know exactly who this is," Tsume said as Naruto stepped forward. Hana stared at Naruto a bit confused. She honestly didn't know who this was but knew she knew him. Naruto looked at himself and then face-palmed. "Oh right." Naruto realized as he put his fingers in Ram's seal and yelled, "Kai." And he reverted back to his true form. She stared into his Sharingan and Rinnegan and was still a bit confused. She then looked at the crystal on his forehead and saw it as a dead giveaway. "Naruto," she exclaimed in realization as she hugged him. She was just now hoping he would come back soon and, as if Kami answered her, Naruto just popped in. "Nice to see you too, Hana. Is Kiba back yet?" Naruto asked as he wanted to meet the only other male in the house. "He should be back soon. He only left the house about 2 hours ago to play with his friends, so he should be back any minute now," Hana said as she looked at the clock. As if on cue, they heard the front door open. "I'm home," they heard as the patter of footsteps came closer towards the kitchen. Kiba entered the kitchen and noticed his mother leaning on the counter while Hana was hugging onto some guy. Hana, who's this?" Kiba asked as she never mentioned having a boyfriend. The weirdest part was that this guy didn't look that much older than Kiba. Hana let go of Naruto and introduced him. "Kiba, this is Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto, as you know, this is Kiba," she said, motioning to each respective person. Kiba stared at Naruto for a good 5 minutes, sizing him up. "I can tell you're alpha male material just by looking at you. How did you meet them and when?" Kiba asked, genuinely curious. Naruto looked at Tsume, who nodded, giving him the okay. "Well, let's sit down. It's kind of a long story." They all sat down and gave Naruto their attention. Naruto told Kiba about the Kyuubi and how it was sealed inside of him. He told him about the beatings and tortures he endured and about the most memorable one that led him to meeting Jin, Madara and Vegeta. He then told them about his training and revealed only a little bit of the techniques as he wanted it to be a surprise. What he didn't tell him was the fact that he wanted to be rid of Konoha. He would eventually, but it wasn't the right time at the moment. "Wow, you had a tough life, man. Sorry I didn't hang around with you, but I was busy training with Akamaru to even go out. Those damn ignorant villagers. One day, they're going to get what's coming to them," Kiba said in anger for the villagers and sympathy for Naruto. "Think nothing of it, Kiba. You didn't know that I even existed, and to know that if you did you would go out of your way to help me, then I'm very grateful," Naruto said as he smiled. "Although those villagers are going to get what's coming to them." Kiba smiled back and looked at Hana and his mother. "So is Naruto going to be staying with us?" Kiba asked as he would really like an older brother figure in his life. They all nodded as Tsume spoke up. "Yep. And if you'd like, he can stay in your room. I'm sure your bed is big enough for the two you, right?" Kiba nodded and motioned to Naruto. "Come on, let's head to my room. I want to show you some cool games I got. Hey, maybe later on today we could go out and you can meet Shikamaru and the others. They're really good friends and you can trust them," Kiba said as he was really excited and wanted Naruto to meet everybody. "Sure, Kiba." Naruto smiled as his excitement was rising as well. Tsume and Hana smiled as they were thinking how happy Naruto and Kiba are. They just met each other, but they seem like they've been brothers for years. The next day, after Naruto met the rest of Kiba's friends, telling them a little bit less than he told Tsume, Hana and Kiba, he and Kiba went straight home and basically fell straight to sleep. Naruto was the first to wake up, as he seemed to always be. He made his way to the kitchen as he made himself a bowl of cereal. After he was done, he looked at the clock and saw that the academy would start in about half an hour, so he went to wake up Kiba, as he seems to not be a morning person. As he entered the room, he saw Kiba sprawled out on the bed. Naruto chuckled as he went over to Kiba and got a wicked idea. He carefully opened Kiba's eyelid and stared into it with his Sharingan. He then cast a genjutsu on him, letting Kiba see his wildest dreams, before Naruto appeared and took them away. Immediately Kiba woke up and looked around, then glared at Naruto. Dude, what the did you do that for? Kiba exclaimed as he's already starting to hate Naruto being here. Kiba, I never would have took you for a furry lover. Well, I guess everybody has a side to them that you might not want to know. Also could be the fact that you're an Inuzuka and you hang around nothing but dogs. Naruto said as he smirked at Kiba. Kiba still kept his glare, but he didn't say anything. He got up and got dressed, then made his way to the kitchen. When they got there, they saw that Tsume and Hana were already there, probably waking up from the noise Kiba made. Sounded like you guys were fighting. Everything alright? Tsume asked. Oh, everything's fine. Just that Kiba didn't seem to agree with my methods of waking him up. Naruto said as he smirked again at the glare Kiba was giving him. Well, after you're done brooding, Kiba, eat some breakfast. You have 20 minutes until you go to the academy. I want you to pack everything up and be ready before it's time to go. Tsume said to Kiba, who nodded as he finished his breakfast and he ran to his room to get ready. She looked at Naruto and asked, Naruto, do you have everything you need? Yes, though I don't need much. Naruto said as he sat down on the floor with his legs crossed in a meditative position. 10 minutes later, Kiba came out into the kitchen with his gray overcoat. Ready to head out, Kiba said with a grin on his face. Naruto nodded as they both waved goodbye to Tsume and Hana and started to head to the academy. While they were walking, they started talking about random things and what they thought the academy would be like. Though Naruto really didn't give a shit, he still talked about it, thinking it would make Kiba feel better. When they arrived, they noticed that they must have been early, considering that there was a large group of kids gathered in front of the academy just standing around talking. When they got closer, they saw Shikamaru, Choji and Ino all conversing. Naruto and Kiba decided to approach them. Hey guys. Seems a lot of kids are early on their first day. Kiba said as he looked around at all of the kids. Yeah, most of them are really excited to become ninja, but it's just so troublesome. Shikamaru said while he was laying on the ground staring at the clouds. Come on, Shika, can you put aside your laziness for just this once and take this seriously? Ino yelled. Shikamaru snored as he seemed to fall asleep, as if he didn't even hear her. She fumed, about ready to punch him until they started to hear a commotion. They looked over and saw a bunch of girls grouped up and surrounding a boy who seemed really annoyed by it. Come on please Sasuke, just one. I'm sure you'll like it. One girl said. The most notable feature about her was her bubblegum pink hair. I already said no. Now out of my way Sakura. Sasuke said as he walked past them with his hands in his pockets. I don't understand anyone could like that guy. I mean, what does he have that I don't? Kiba exclaimed. Let's see, he doesn't smell like wet dog all of the time. He's way cuter. He's also smarter. Oh, and he's from a clan known to have powerful people, which guarantees him to be strong. Ino said, listing them off with his fingers. Kiba huffed and turned his back to her with his arms crossed. Naruto shook his head as he looked at the doors to the academy. A moment later, the doors opened as 2 academy instructors came out. Alright, quiet down everyone. My name is Iruka Yumino and this is my assistant Mizuki. We will be your instructors these 4 years, so make sure to remember us. Now follow us, we're going to show you where your homeroom is going to be. Iruka said as he and Mizuki started walking into the academy, slowly followed by the students. When they all finally arrived in the classroom, they took a seat wherever and waited for their next instructions. Alright CL. Today we won't be doing much, considering that it's your first day, so right now we're just going to start with introductions. Starting with you. State your name, likes, dislikes, and dreams for the future. Iruka said, pointing at some random kid in the front. Naruto zoned out as he didn't see the need to listen to their introductions. When he finally heard his name being called, he got up and went to the front of the classroom as instructed by Mizuki. My name is Kazuya Mishima. I like training, learning new techniques, the Inuzukas, and a select few people in here. I dislike people who are too loud and who give up and don't take training seriously. My dreams for the future are none of your concern. Naruto said as he started to make his way back to his seat. Wait, when you said you like learning new techniques, do you already know some? Iruka asked curiously. Yes, that is what I was implying. Naruto said, still walking to his seat. Well then, perhaps a demonstration would be in order. We want to gauge how much ability you have. Mizuki said. Naruto stopped and sighed. He turned around and walked back down the stairs. Alright, fine. Whatever floats your boat. Naruto said. Good, now everyone, we're going to take this outside in the academy's training field. I want everyone to follow Mizuki out. Iruka said as he used Shunshin and disappeared. When all of the kids made it out, Mizuki stopped in a large circle in the middle of the field. Alright Kazuya, first we're going to test you on your ability to throw kunai and shuriken. Take these and hit the dummy on the bullseye with as many as you can. Mizuki said as he handed Naruto the tools. Naruto took them and threw them all at the same time, hitting the bullseye with all of them. Mizuki clapped. Good job Kazuya. For someone your age, that is an impressive feat. Now do you know any taijutsu styles? I'm going to test you on how good you are at close combat. Mizuki said as he made his way to one side of the circle. Naruto smirked as he waited for Mizuki to start the spar. When he saw Mizuki nod, Naruto started to walk over to him. When he was about 5 feet away, he donned his devil fist stance and waited for Mizuki to make his move. You want me to attack first? Alright, but don't get mad at me if I hurt you. Mizuki said as he charged. Naruto smirked as he watched Mizuki get closer. When he was in front of Naruto, Mizuki went for a kick to his head with right leg. Naruto saw it coming and leaned back just enough for the leg to go past his face and then swept Mizuki's left leg from under him, making Mizuki fall to the ground. Naruto smirked at him as Mizuki got up, a bit angry that he didn't see it coming. He stared at his stance and saw so many openings, but at the same time it seemed like it was impenetrable. The rest stared at Naruto in surprise except for Kiba, Shikamaru, Choji and Ino, since they knew Naruto was powerful. But to see it in person was still pretty awesome. Naruto got ready as Mizuki charged at him again. Mizuki went for a punch to the face as Naruto swayed out of the way. Mizuki kept throwing a barrage of punches and kicks as fast as he possibly could, which to Naruto was at a snail's pace. Naruto started getting bored and decided to end it as he brought both of his arms out, deflecting Mizuki's, and punched him in the gut with a right straight, which made Mizuki hunch over, followed by an left uppercut. Naruto then elbowed Mizuki in the chest and hit him in the face with the back of his fist. As Mizuki was falling to the ground, Naruto brought his left leg over and kicked him in the head, making him fly back a few feet. If Naruto wasn't holding back, there probably wouldn't be anything left of him. Naruto looked at Mizuki's prone form on the ground and got out of his stance. He's out. I don't think he'll be getting up anytime soon. Anyone know where Iruka is? Naruto asked. Before anyone could answer, there was a poof of smoke and Iruka appeared with 2 medics. Good job Kazuya. Your skill in taijutsu is better than that of a chunin and probably a few junin. I don't even think we need to test ninjutsu. My only question is, how are you not a ninja? Iruka asked, confused on why he isn't already a junin by now. Well, let's just say I didn't have time. Naruto said. Iruka stared at Naruto but dismissed it as it being part of his personality. Alright everyone. Due to Mizuki's state, I am going to dismiss you. Tomorrow we'll begin a full day. As the kids left, Naruto looked at Kiba. Alright Kiba, let's go get something to eat. I don't very much know the village, so how about you lead the way? Kiba nodded as he ran out of the academy followed by Naruto. Hokage Tower. The Hokage and a group of Junin were grouped around a crystal ball that showed Kiba and Naruto running down the streets in Konoha. That is an interesting child. No doubt it that we have a prodigy on our hands. Sarutobi said. Indeed, though we must make sure that we have his loyalty. A kid that powerful will no doubt be a threat if he decides to go rouge. Danzo said as he was already thinking of the ways he could use Naruto for his own purposes. Yes, I agree. After the failure with Naruto, upon making him a weapon, this Kazuya will make an excellent replacement. Sarutobi said as he watched them. Don't you think it's a little extreme that you're going to try and manipulate a 6-year-old? I mean, I get that you're trying to protect the village, but I can't say I agree with your methods. A silver-haired Anbu said. It is not your duty to state your opinions, Kakashi. Besides, you're already being taken off Anbu to take on your own squad of genin, and Kazuya will most likely graduate in a few days, if he accepts to take the exam early. So you will be his Junin sensei. Third said as he started smoking on his pipe. Kakashi looked at the Hokage with a small glare. Yes, Hokage-sama, he said with a hint of venom as he turned his attention back to Crystal Ball. With Naruto and Kiba. Naruto and Kiba were walking through the streets off to a dango stand that Kiba said was a good restaurant to eat at. As he was walking, Naruto couldn't help but remember the days when he was tortured and beaten in these very streets. Now if any villager tries anything, though that is very unlikely for now, he won't hesitate to kill them. He stopped his thoughts when he heard a commotion with his heightened hearing. It sounded like a struggle. He heard a woman's voice and more than one male voice. Naruto put 2 and 2 together and realized that a woman was being assaulted. He turned to Kiba. Hold on, Kiba, you go on ahead, I'll catch up with you. Naruto said as he pinpointed the location of the woman by feeling an overly stressed power level. He used instant transmission and ended up in an alley behind a man who had a kunai in his hands, cutting the woman's clothes off. The woman was unconscious, so he concluded that they knocked her out. In total there were 3 men, all of them looking like Junins. He knew they were drunk because he could smell the alcohol from their breaths. All of their backs were turned, so Naruto grabbed the back of the man with the knife's vest and tossed him back into a trash can. The Junins, now noticing him, charged at Naruto, not caring or maybe not realizing that Naruto was only 6 years old. They both went for a punch as Naruto, and they ended up punching the Junin that Naruto threw, making him stumble. Naruto punched both Junins in the stomach and kicked the Junin that was behind him, using enough strength to knock him out. He then grabbed both of the Junin's heads and hit them together, knocking them out as well. Naruto looked at his handiwork and brought his attention to the woman. He walked over to her and undid her bindings. He saw that she had chakra suppression seal on her back, so she must be a ninja. Naruto looked and saw that most of her clothes were gone because of the men. The only things noticeable about her were that she had purple hair and was pretty well endowed. Before he could respond, a silver-haired Anbu with a dog mask popped out of nowhere. Alright, that's enough, Kazuya-san. You can go home now, I'll take care of things here, he said as he whistled, and 2 Anbu came and grabbed a body. Naruto glared at him as he was trying to remember where he's seen him before. Wait, I know him. He's that Anbu that was supposed to protect me on that day. Instead he did nothing but stand by and watch as they burned me. Oh, you'll be next on my list after I kill the Hokage. If only I knew your name. Who cares? There's only one person in this village with silver hair like that. Naruto ranted in his mind. But first I better take this girl to her home. I don't trust him enough to be alone with a defenseless woman. Actually, I think I will take this woman home, dog-san. Naruto said as he glared at him. It looked as if the Anbu was glaring back, but he couldn't tell. As you wish, Kazuya-san, he said as he grabbed the other body. He told Naruto the directions to her apartment and left with a shunshin. Naruto looked at where the spot the Anbu disappeared and breathed out. Alright, time to go, he said as he looked at the girl. He jumped up to the roofs and started making his way over there. Once he arrived, he picked the lock and brought her inside. The condition of her house was no different than when he was living in his apartment. Naruto walked to where the bedroom was and laid the woman on the bed. He pulled the covers over her and left the room. He went into the kitchen and saw that there was a scarce amount of food. Naruto sighed and pulled out a scroll labeled, dinner. He opened it and cut his finger, swiping the blood across the scroll. Out popped a tray of various foods that looked like a feast. Naruto knew that woman doesn't eat as much as she should, like how Naruto used to be. Naruto then remembered that she was at the moment and did the same process with another scroll. There was a poof of smoke, but this time a red kimono appeared. Naruto grabbed the kimono and the tray, then went into the bedroom. He found her sitting up and holding her head with one hand. "How are you feeling?" Naruto asked as she got startled and tried to reach for something but held her head in pain. "Don't worry, I'm not going to hurt you. On the contrary, I actually want to help. I used to live like this, so seeing someone else having to live in these conditions kind of angers me," Naruto said as he walked over to the bed and set the tray on the bed. He also handed her the kimono and turned around. "Go ahead and put it on. You wouldn't want to eat while you're, would you?" Naruto said. "Who the hell are you?" she asked as she looked at the food suspiciously while putting on the kimono. "Just someone who knows what it's like to be hated," Naruto said as he sat down on the edge of the bed. "Come on, eat up. You wouldn't want to let the food go to waste, wouldn't you?" Naruto said, motioning to the food tray. She approached the food warily and picked up the chopsticks. She took one bite and looked like she fell in love. Then she started to attack the food like crazy. Naruto smiled and got up, as he realized how much time he spent here and went to go find Kiba. He made his way out the door and left the lady to her food. Just as he left, the woman stopped eating and just noticed that Naruto wasn't there. She got up and went into the kitchen to find that he wasn't there. She sighed and headed back to her room to resume eating her food. After the lunch with Kiba, Naruto decided to head to the Hokage Tower to request that he take the Genin exam early. For his plans to go smoothly, it would be good to start as soon as possible. As he made his way to the tower, he thought about the first step of his plans. In order to eradicate Konoha, I must make allies outside of the village. Anybody who doesn't have any ties to here or hates the village altogether. It would be best to take the exam early so I could be able to get out of the village. It would do me no good looking for people like that here, Naruto thought as he made it to the tower. As he entered, he got a sense of nostalgia as he remembered all of the times he would play with the Hokage and all of the fun times they had together. Even though it wasn't that long ago that the Hokage was buying him ramen. That feeling was then replaced with anger as he remembered how much he now despises the Hokage. He just couldn't wait until he could tear his cold heart out of his chest. As he approached the secretary's desk, he removed his train of thought and hid his emotions. "Excuse me, ma'am, but I would like to request an audience with the Hokage," he said as respectfully as possible. The secretary looked up from a book she was reading and was surprised to see a well-built kid. "His office should be open right now, so go on ahead in," she said as stared at him. Naruto nodded as he went to Sarutobi's office and knocked on his door. "Come in," he heard on the other side. When he entered, he saw the old man doing paperwork, like always. "Good afternoon, Hokage-sama," Naruto said as he kept his demeanor as joyful as possible. "Ah yes, the new student. How did your day fare at the academy? I heard that you taught an instructor there a lesson about underestimation," Hokage said. "Yes, a lesson well deserved. Please excuse me for my rudeness, but I'd like to get to the reason I came here," Naruto said as he caught Sarutobi's attention. "I believe that I am ready to take the Genin exam early. My chakra level is too high for any of the exercises to develop them more. Also, I have already mastered every single jutsu from E to C. I would tell you more, but don't feel like that information is necessary," Naruto finished. Sarutobi looked stunned as he couldn't imagine someone so young being able to master that many just you. He must have an exponential amount of chakra. This boy is very interesting. Sarutobi lit his pipe that he pulled from his desk. "I grant you your wish on the exam. But unfortunately there are no senseis to take anybody on at the moment. That's why I was hoping that I could be a lone team. A sensei really wouldn't help me at all since they won't be able to really teach me anything and I am fully capable of protecting myself," Naruto said. "I'm sorry, but I cannot allow you to go lone wolf. No matter how strong you are, you're still just a boy and you don't have experience. You will take the exam when we have a Junin ready to take a pupil. You are dismissed." the third said as he went back to his paperwork. Naruto gritted his teeth a bit, trying not to lose his temper as he made his way out of the office. Before he got to the door though, someone flung it open, hitting Naruto in the face and knocking him to the side. Old man, I need to talk to you. A woman yelled. Anko, hold your tongue. That's Hokage-sama to you. Now on your knees and bow and you may speak your business. The Hokage said with authority. Like hell I would bow, old man. Now I want some information on a Junin in our ranks. I know he's new because I've never seen him before, but I don't know what his rank really is. I'm just guessing because how he looks. He's got black spiky hair and he's pretty built. He wears a black gi, tied with a white sash. He has white gauntlets and black baggy pants, similar to Anbu pants. Other than that, that's all I know about him. Anko said, finishing her description. Hokage gritted his teeth about the old man remark but sighed. I believe the man, no boy you're looking for is right there. He said, pointing behind her. She turned around and saw Naruto there as he gave a small smile. Hi, he said, rubbing the back of his head in embarrassment. Anko walked up to Naruto and smacked hard across the face. That's for leaving without giving me a name. She yelled. Well, sorry, I had to get back to this person I was with. When you leave him alone he gets annoying and Kiba getting annoying isn't something. He was cut off as Anko's lips met his. Naruto's eyes widened as he didn't expect it. When they stopped kissing she looked at him and said, that's for saving me back there. I never really got a chance to thank you. He nodded and took Anko's hand. Let's talk over dinner. We'll continue this conversation later, Hokage-sama. Naruto said as he made his way out the door. Dango shop. So dango huh? Never thought I'd actually like this stuff. Naruto said as he took another bite of dango. Never thought you'd like it. Dango is probably the best food you'll ever eat. Anko yelled while chewing on her own stick of dango. Naruto chuckled and said, well, I used to always eat nothing but ramen when I was younger. It was basically the main food of my diet. Anko's eyes widened in surprise. She then started to chuckle. That's just like this one Gaki that used to do the same thing. Every time he went out to eat, he would always go to Ichiraku's ramen and they knew exactly what to get him. She stooped laughing and her face went straightened. Though, after that day. Man, I really miss the little guy. This place is no fun without him. Anko said. Naruto slowed his eating down. She seems like a perfect addition to my plan. I just need to find a way to win her over. So, I was wondering. Exactly why are you living like you are? Anko stopped eating and looked at Naruto with a hard stare. Why do you want to know? Everybody in poverty has a reason. Either it was from a mistake they made or because they were forced to. I have a feeling it's the latter. Naruto said. How could you possibly know that? She yelled. She closed her mouth and thought to herself. Why is he making me so emotional? Nobody has ever made me feel this way. What is it about him? Because I know what it's like to be hated. Her eyes widened. When I was younger, I was hated by about the whole population of my village, and it was all because of something I had no control over. They went out of their way to try and make my life a living hell. I tried to run. Every day I tried and at first I was evading them. But eventually they caught me. I was at their mercy and eventually I had lost hope. Then one day, they pushed too far and something in me snapped, then I pushed back. Things got bloody and that was the end of that. It's what made me into the man I am today. Anko's eyes widened as she started to piece the puzzle together. And Naruto? She asked with hope. Naruto smiled. I think an introduction is finally in order. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto said as he gauged her reaction. She sat stunned as she was looking at the living and breathing Naruto. The Naruto that was beaten and scorned for carrying the Kyuubi no Yoko. The Naruto that died just a few days ago. But you died, didn't you? I mean the old man wouldn't lie about you dying so it had to be true so, how? Anko asked in confusion. As much as I'd like to tell you, I don't really know if I can trust you. If this information got out to the wrong people, it can completely screw up my plans. Now, enough about me. Why are you hated by the leaf? Anko grabbed the back of her neck and shivered. You won't laugh at me, or hate me. I would never do that. I know exactly where you're coming from and I want to get to know you. Naruto said with a smile. Anko blushed a bit but shook it off. Well, it all started when I met a man named Orochimaru. Anko began telling her story about how she was abandoned by him and how she was marked with a curse. Every time he's anywhere close, or if I even think about him, this mark burns and starts to cause me a lot of pain. And it just reminds me how much he still has control over me. I just wish I could get rid of it. Naruto smirked to himself as he realized, I think I just found the perfect way to earn her trust. You know, I'm pretty skilled with seals myself, he said as his smirk widened when he saw her eyes grow bigger. If you're willing, I could have that cursed seal off of you in a few hours. Anko narrowed her eyes. Bullshit. Not even the seal master Jiraiya can break the seal. Naruto looked at Anko seriously. As much as I'd like to argue that point, I can't. I don't really know much about Jiraiya, but I'm guessing he's an expert in the art. You must have respect for his ability in seals, but if you truly want that seal to come off, you have to try all possible ways. Sometimes you have to take a chance. If you want that seal to come off, I'm that chance. Are you willing to take it? Anko looked down and squeezed her hands. Yes, alright, I'll do it. Anything to get this damn curse off of me. Naruto nodded as he finished eating his dango and stood up. Well, let's go to your place. The sooner we start, the better. Wait, why do we have to go to my place? Can't we go to yours? She stopped herself as she remembered. No, we can't. My place just so happens to be burned to the ground. But, enough of that. Let's get going, Naruto said as he headed out the door. They went over the rooftops to get to her house as fast as possible. Anko watched as Naruto was jumping and realized how much he's grown in such a short time. How did he do it? She wondered to herself as she thought of all possible reasons, but none of them made sense. When they arrived, Naruto let himself in. Alright, to begin, I can't be exuding any chakra, and I am sure you haven't noticed, but I've had a henge on for the whole time. Naruto said as he made his way into the bedroom. A henge? How did I not sense the chakra? How is it that he could keep a henge hidden from the Hokage, and even from me? Release, Naruto said as a poof of smoke covered him. When it went away, he was back to his normal 12-year-old self. Anko's eyes widened as she saw how much bigger he got. Though it may have only been in height, she also looked and saw that his build increased a bit as well. But what made her freak out the most were his eyes. That's the Sharingan. How does he have it? He's not an Uchiha, is he? Wait, what's that other eye? I've never seen it before. The whole time one thought was going through her mind. What happened to you, Naruto Uzumaki? She asked. Naruto smiled. I'll tell you, but after we've gotten that curse off of your neck. Now take off your fishnet and jacket, he said as he pulled out some scrolls. Why do I need to take off my clothes? Anko yelled skeptically. We can't risk any fabric getting in the way while we're trying to remove the seal. If anything goes wrong, it could be fatal, Naruto said as he removed his gauntlets. She pouted but gave up arguing as she took off her clothes. Naruto turned around as he was ready to start. He immediately blushed as she took off every piece of clothing, and was laying down in a very provocative pose. What's the matter, Naru-kun? Do I not look appealing to you? Anko purred. Naruto tried to look away but his gaze was stuck on her body. You didn't have to take your skirt and panties off too, Naruto said as his blush got even redder. Anko smirked. Well, if I was going to take my jacket and fishnet off, I might as well take everything else off. Besides, weren't you the one who said that we can't risk any fabric getting in the way? But why are you complaining? Is my body not appealing to you? She said as she stretched to make sure Naruto got a good look. Naruto looked away as he started to get a nosebleed. No, you very beautiful, even, but I think we should get that seal off now. Anko pouted. You're no fun. Fine, let's just get this over with, Anko said as she rested her head on her arm. I need you to lay on your back and relax completely. I'm going to place a seal over yours and it will slow destroy the curse. It may take a few hours, so you have to stay awake the whole time. After I place the seal, you can move around, but you cannot put your clothes on until the curse is completely removed. You ready? Anko nodded as she laid on her back and took a deep breath. All right, go for it. Naruto nodded as he went over to side of the bed and pulled out a brush. He positioned himself right next to Anko's seal. He took a deep breath and began drawing the seal on hers. About a half hour later, he was finished drawing. Naruto breathed easy as he looked at Anko. Still awake. She nodded in confirmation as she opened her eyes. Phew, that was grueling. I thought I was going to pee out just from the pressure. All right, here we go. You most likely will feel some pain throughout this experience. So I want you to tell me when it hurts the most so I know at what rate of speed that my seal should destroy yours. After that, I'll put a suppression jutsu over it so you won't constantly feel the pain. Naruto said as he clapped his hands together. Forbidden Jutsu. Seal Devourer Level 1. He yelled as the seal glowed on Anko's neck. Anko cringed a bit as it was painful, but she knew she could go further. A little more, she said. Naruto nodded as he clapped his hands together again. Forbidden Jutsu. Seal Devourer Level 2. He yelled. Anko bit her lip and drew blood as it was starting to get very painful. Just a bit more, she managed to say. Naruto looked at her concerned, as he didn't think she'd go past level 2. Alright then, he said as he repeated the process. Forbidden Jutsu, Seal Devourer Level 3. Anko finally screamed as she grabbed onto the sheets. Alright, that's enough. Naruto nodded as he did some hand seals. Relieve. He yelled as Anko's screaming started to die down and eventually she was just breathing hard. Alright, the hard part's over. Now all we have to do is wait. For now, let's get something to eat. We have to keep you awake the whole time. Naruto said as he held out his hand. Anko took it and pulled herself off her bed. Okay, I'm alright, she said, catching her breath. She tried taking a step but almost tumbled over as Naruto caught her. He grabbed her and picked her up bridal style. I guess I'll just have to carry you to the kitchen. Naruto said as he made his way to the kitchen. He sat Anko in the chair and made his way to the refrigerator. Before he opened it, he heard a knock at Anko's front door. Wonder who that could be. Naruto said as he put his henge back up and made his way to the door. Wait, the only person that ever comes here is. Wait, Naruto, don't answer that. Anko yelled. Naruto looked at Anko. Come on, the visitor can't be that bad unless it's the Hokage. He said as he opened the door. He was wrong. There, standing at the door, was none other than the silver-haired Anbu from earlier. Naruto's eyes narrowed as he stared the man in front of him. What do you want, dog-san? Naruto asked with a bit of killer intent leaking out. Where's Anko-chan? And what are you doing here, Kazuya? He asked. Naruto was about to say something before he was cut off. Kakashi, can you please just stop coming here trying to get laid? For the last time I said no. Anko yelled. Kakashi chuckled. Come on, Anko, you know you want to. Why don't we just go to your room right now? I mean, look, you're already ready for the occasion. He said, eyeing her body. Like hell, I would even get anywhere near a bed with you. Just get out before I kill you. Anko threatened. Oh come Anko, I know that's an empty threat. You're still weak from earlier and your chakra seems to be even weaker. Besides that, why won't you let me Are you still mad at me because of that one day? I told you that the demon was a threat and we had to get rid of it. I still don't know how it killed that whole mob, but from what I can tell, it lost its life in the process. Kakashi said. The whole time Naruto was quiet as he was just going to let this play out and intervene when needed. But after that statement, he was going to do more than just intervene. Naruto stepped in front of Anko and faced Kakashi. Did this event just so happen to occur 6 days ago? Naruto said with an emotionless face. Kakashi looked at Naruto with a bit of confusion. Yeah, it was close to midnight. There was this demon that we had roaming around. We were all disgusted that the Hokage would let that thing live, even though it was only to turn it into a weapon. So I had arranged a meeting with all of the demon haters and told them to gather up. We captured and killed the demon before the Hokage noticed. I stayed hiding in the Hokage's office to make sure he didn't leave before it was done. Then I come back to see everyone dead. I was sure the demon was too because I no longer felt his chakra. Naruto stared at Kakashi, still void of emotion. He was using all of his strength to not destroy this man, no disgrace, in front of him. He was squeezing his hand until there was blood coming out. Anko looked at Naruto and knew what he wanted to do. She would let him do it, but she had a feeling it would be bad for his cover. Why would he use an alias in the first place? She thought. Alright, that's enough, Kakashi. Leave. Now. Anko said with killer intent flowing out. Kakashi smirked. I'm not going anywhere. Kazuya, get out. Me and Anko have some business to take care of, he said as he grabbed Naruto's shoulder. Naruto's bangs covered his eyes as he grabbed Kakashi's wrist. Don't touch me, Naruto said as he began to squeeze. He looked up into his eyes. Don't you ever touch me, he yelled. Kakashi's eyes widened as the pain of his wrist wasn't even registering. He was too busy looking at Naruto's eyes. The Sharingan. Who is this guy? He said his name is Kazuya Mishima, but only an Uchiha can have it. But what's that other eye? It's unfamiliar to me. Who are you really, Kazuya Mishima? Kakashi asked. Naruto glared at Kakashi, his Sharingan spinning. You don't get to ask questions, Kakashi. Leave now, before I decide to kill you, Naruto said as he let go of his hand. Kakashi grunted as he held his hand. I don't know who or what you are, but you've got some real nerve to do this to your superior. Naruto's body was surrounded in a black aura. I'm not going to tell you again. Leave. Now, Naruto said as he was about ready to punch Kakashi with all of his strength. Kakashi grunted. He looked at how serious Naruto and Anko were. Fine, but don't think this is over. I'll get you back for this, Kakashi said as he started to walk away. He looked back at them. You better watch your back, Kazuya, he said as he disappeared. Naruto gritted his teeth. He took a deep breath and calmed himself. Anko closed the door and grabbed Naruto's hand. Come on, let's go to my room. I'm not hungry anymore. Naruto nodded and let Anko lead him to the bedroom. When they entered, Anko let go of his hand and sat down on the bed. She patted the spot right next, gesturing for him to sit down. Naruto sat slouched as he stared at the ground. Anko looked at his face and knew that Kakashi had brought back some bad memories. She didn't want to keep prying, but she had to get some answers. How do I get him to open up without making him more stressed? She thought to herself. Naruto was fighting with his instincts. I will not hunt him down. I will not hunt him down. I'm going to hunt him down. I'm going to rip that bastard too. Before he could finish that thought, he felt Anko's arms wrap around him. Naruto looked and saw that she was resting her head on his shoulders. Anko, what are you? She pulled him down towards the bed as she rested her head on his chest and wrapped her leg over his. Naruto, I know what you're thinking, but from what I can tell, you don't want to blow your cover. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise. He smirked and just laid back. Naruto took a deep breath. Okay, so what do you want to know? I can guess that you have a whole lot of questions to ask. Anko did a happy dance in her head as her plan worked. First of all, what happened on that day? Well, there's a whole long explanation to that, but to sum it up, I've got 3 very powerful ancestors, with a very powerful bloodline that awakened when I was knocked out during my torture. After that, I went to the old man's office, thinking he was going to help me. But I learned the truth about what he thought about me. That's when I met Tsume in Izuka. She helped me hide for the night because I couldn't be in my apartment anymore, for obvious reasons. The next day after, I went out to train so I can completely harness my newly obtained powers. Then I came back just today actually. Naruto finished as he thought he may have said too much, but he didn't care at this point. He believed Anko was trustworthy. She sat there for a minute, thinking over everything she was told. After a few moments she spoke again. Wait a minute, how were you able to train in just 5 days? Well, Actually, there's this place I went to where time was very different. I trained for 5 years in there, and on the outside only 5 days had passed. He said as he smirked at her perplexed expression. Wait, so you mean you're actually 14 years old? Anko said in surprise. Naruto nodded. Any more questions? He asked. Who are those 3 ancestors? She asked. Well, you won't know the other 2, but you might know one. Madara Uchiha is his name. Naruto said as he noticed her eyes widen. You mean the Madara Uchiha? One of the founding fathers Konoha, and the true leader of the Uchiha clan. Well, I wouldn't really praise Oji-san that much, but yes, that is the gist of it. Other than that, any more questions? Naruto asked. Anko thought to herself. Yeah, just one. What were you talking about when you were in the old man's office? Ah yes, that actually brings me to my current predicament. You see, I requested that I take the Genin exam early for my own reasons, and he said that there are no Junin ready to take on any Genin. Naruto said as he closed his eyes. Anko looked at him. What exactly are your reasons? Naruto opened his eyes and looked back. As much as I trust you right now, I don't know if I can really trust you with that information. I entrusted it with Tsume mostly because I let my emotions get in the way. I was hurt and she was the one who comforted me. I'm just glad she sincerely wanted to help me. So anyway, right now I just have to look for someone willing to be my Junin. Naruto said as he had his index finger against his chin in thought. Anko raised her hand in the air and raised it frantically. Naruto looked at her with a raised eyebrow. Yes, Anko. I take the Junin exam in just a few days, so I can be your Junin. Anko said as she was hoping he would say yes so she can get some answers. Naruto gave her a serious look and noticed how excited she was. Maybe I can trust her with this. I guess you can say that this will be the test. Alright, fine. When you are able, you shall be my Junin, Anko. Naruto said as he smiled at her. Anko smiled back and yawned. Well, I'm sleepy. Is the seal done yet? Naruto sat up as he had completely forgotten that he had the seal on her neck. Alright, it should be done by now, he said as he sat up. Let's get that off of you. Anko sat up and slouched over so her neck was exposed. Alright, let's get this over with. Naruto looked at her neck and saw that her seal was completely gone and it was only his seal on her neck. He placed 2 fingers on her and pointed 2 fingers up to the ceiling. Release. He yelled as his seal glowed and then disappeared. Anko breathed out as if a huge weight was lifted off of her shoulders. She laid down on her back, caught her breath. Phew, glad that's over. Naruto got up and headed to the door. Alright, I guess I leave you to your rest. He was about to open the door when Anko grabbed his arm. He looked at and saw her smirking. Why don't you come and sleep with me? You must be tired and you don't have to go to wherever you're going when you have a perfectly good bed right here. She said as she pulled him towards the bed. Naruto blushed and couldn't argue with her logic. Anko turned off the lights and pulled them both into the bed. Anko pulled the covers over them and put Naruto's arm under her, cuddling him. Naruto couldn't help but think of the irony of the situation. Just 5 years ago I was doing the same thing with Tsume. Well, I can't really complain, can I? Naruto said as he closed his eyes and pulled Anko closer. Like I said before, life is good.